Hello, hello. Welcome to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey, and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling. We are also on video. This is wild. With me today, Georgie Howe.
I purposely didn't do my hair today.
You're kind of to blame for this whole video situation also, to be fair.
I mean, I'm on the floor. Not quite Geraint Thomas style podcast yet, but I will get lower as we get on.
Lauren Rowney. Hello, Lauren.
G'day, everyone. Georgie, you have the type of hair I feel like, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's washed or dirty, it's still going to look great.
Thanks, Lauren. You just know how to perk me up.
No, it's true. Also, you're very photogenic.
Just the little extra grease in there makes it just whoop a little bit.
Well, it's freshly clean. I washed it yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And Gracie Elvin.
Hello, you don't get me on video today, but I'm still here on the mic, and you might hear my little friend Billy, the cat. She is on peak meow time since moving up to Queensland. There's new creepy crawly creatures that are outside that she can hear, and it drives her crazy. But she's banned from going outside because she's already licked a cane toad since being here, so you might hear her.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Oh no.
Yeah, it was quite upsetting for all of us.
Is she okay?
Luckily, but we went through a night that we weren't sure if she was going to make it, because if anyone doesn't know, cane toads are an invasive species in Australia. They used to only be in far north Queensland, but they've slowly made their way down to southern parts of Queensland. I think there've even been reports that they've made it as far as Sydney, which is pretty awful. But they're very poisonous creatures. I'm going to get this wrong, but like they pretty much squirt poisonous goop out of their paws on their back. And yeah, that's how they kill things like cats. And Billy thought she would go and investigate one night, and that's horrible.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is not only does Australia have venomous snakes, gigantic spiders, but also the frogs are poisonous.
No, toads, not frogs. To be fair, I've got a fear of both frogs and toads, but they are different.
I think there are venomous frogs as well, but yeah, this is a toad.
Yeah, I think there are. Yeah. The toads they were completely just a fun fact from my father, actually, because when we walked to school in primary school, he would like tell my sister and I all these fun stories, about one of which was the prickly pear, but I digress. Let's go back to the cane toad. The cane toad was introduced because it was introduced to get a bug or an insect that was on top of the sugarcane, but it couldn't bloody climb the thing, so it was just a completely pointless introduction of species.
And then it bred and overtook.
Man, I just love it when humans get themselves into the environment. Anyway,
speaking about pest species,
if I had a draft team, maybe I would call it that this year.
That's true. We opted not to do the draft this year. We can always change our minds, I feel like, and do an impromptu draft. But I feel like we've passed the peak window for drafting at this point. If it was going to be any time, it needs to be right now.
Biggest draft we got right now is through my window. So I don't think we'll be doing sorry, I couldn't help myself. I saw it and you lined it up and I had to come in.
Today, we are on the verge of Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. We are fastly approaching the opening weekend, so we're going to talk about Omloop, a race we have all participated in. I also got the chance to sit down with Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig, who's going into her second year with Canyon-SRAM and her Canyon-SRAM zondacrypto in her 12th year in the professional peloton. She's changed up roles a little bit on her new team after a crash in 2024 that she's still working her way back from. So it was an awesome chat with Cecilie. I think a lot of people know her for being really rambunctious, flamboyant, maybe isn't the right word, but she's very, very out there, huge personality, but she's come into her maturity a lot. It was a really great conversation. I was super excited to chat with her. That will also have a written piece on the site, so I will link that in the show notes. But yeah, a lot to talk about today. Let's start with a little bit of news. Pauline Ferrand-Prèvot announced that she has extended her contract with Visma Lease Bike through 2028. One major reason being the Olympics in LA.
Huge, but unsurprising, I have to say. I mean, she's just getting started back on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like Lauren said, it's completely unsurprising. She had such an incredible year last year, and I think on the heels of that, she's not gonna be thinking about retirement anytime soon, regardless of her age. I mean, going into the Olympics at 38 is, we always kind of talk about how women peak when they're older, but I also feel like Pauline is this special case where she's figured out the fitness side of cycling, and she's figured out that like everything is clicking, and why not keep that ball rolling even if we don't know how she's going to be going in 4 years. Or 2 years now. It's not really that far away. 38. She's going to be 36.
Yeah.
God. I'm thinking in terms of like 4-year cycles. 36. She's going to be 36. She's going to be a spring chicken.
The Olympics have just been, yeah.
I know, but I was thinking, the Olympics just ended. I'm in a deep depression. 4 years is the next Olympics, but it's 4 years until the next good Olympics. 2 years until the next Olympics.
The Pauline point is going to be an interesting one, because I think what we saw from her this last year now was probably the pinnacle of rider management that I've seen, in terms of someone who had 81 days rest between races, and she was able to win both Roubaix and the Tour de France. I wonder if the peloton's going to catch up to that kind of rider management, and B, if that rider management is sustainable. I'm really interested to see how this goes. I can only see her getting better, but I'm keen to that kind of thinking will also trickle down into the peloton. So it's going to be really cool to see what happens in the next few years there.
Well, to that point, Georgie, we were just discussing before we came online the fact that Visma Lease a Bike is looking for extra money, which it makes sense. And we spoke at length about this, I think, at the Tour de France Femmes of Exwerf last year. If more riders are following the sort of Pauline program, then you're going to need bigger rosters, because the calendar is huge. So if you have these key riders, and there'll be a few riders on the team that just become more and more specialized, you'll need those, let's call them bunch fillers as such.
Oh, that is so harsh.
I know, but you know what I mean. Not every rider
I was a bunch filler, Lauren.
So was I. There is nothing wrong with being a bunch filler. It's just reality. Not everyone in the team.
Right. No, you're right. I'm taking the piss. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But that just means more money, right? So if you're going to have a roster of 20 riders, which teams can't even support now. I mean, even FDJ's Suez, what's their other title sponsor?
FDJ United Suez. It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we are going to have, their mistakes will be made, but three weeks from now, we will have things dialed. I'm sure of it.
Thibaut, forgive me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, forgive me. FDJ United Suez. I mean, I think they have a roster of 16 riders, and Stefan Delcourt has been very honest in saying they have a good budget, but they still can't compete with the very, very top budgets. And Demi is someone who I think still races quite a bit. Her program is specialized, but not to the degree of someone like Pauline.
I agree too with Lauren. I think the short story is we're not going to see people tackling the calendar like Pauline. The longer version of that is we might see versions of that. You might see Amal and Royce having good chunks of time to focus on a special event, or even Demi would get that opportunity. But there's other top riders like Elisa Longo-Borghini, and if she asked for it, she would probably be given it, but she loves to race, and that's how she keeps that high level of fitness through the season, because of all the racing she does. And I've ridden with top riders in Green Edge who they just love to race, and they'd rather just race than go do huge training blocks as well. So there's that factor. But I think the main element is what Lauren has said, which is the roster size, and the fact that teams can't afford to have bigger rosters is due to a number of reasons. One of them being that our top riders are getting paid so much, and they're taking up a big percentage of the overall salary budget. We've got also the salary minimums for World Tour levels, which is great, but it's also a lot now. So just the minimum amount they're having to pay riders is getting the team to be quite stretched on top of those top rider salaries as well. So we're seeing a few tricky elements happening in this aspect of women's cycling of purely about salaries, and that's affecting those rosters. And the way that the teams are having to be run now with the higher level of support that they get to give to riders outside of those salaries, like fancy training camps and top-level coaching and all the things that you would expect and should have as a team, but it certainly all adds up. And the economy of cycling is quite fickle, so it's a bit of a house of cards still, and it's always been a house of cards in men's cycling. And in some ways that is still healthier economically than women's cycling. So I think we have to tread lightly here, and I don't think that we should expect riders to be as specialized as some are kind of showing. I didn't really say that the right way, but to be taking the year on like Pauline is, because that's actually just not feasible at all for most teams, or any team really. I think she just gets away with it.
It's a luxury for top riders, like top riders who have that kind of control to be able to do that. But for like has pretty much always been the case in women's cycling, it feels like the bottom half of the team is the part that, you know, is getting paid less and is going to be under way more strain with the current system.
What do you guys think of the concept of a salary cap?
I think that it might actually be a good way to go.
Yeah, on both sides, the men's side and the women's side too, because like Gracie was saying, this is a problem for both sides of the sport, right? And to your point about salaries, like it's great that they're growing. I think it's fantastic that, you know, women are getting paid to begin with, but we're starting to see the gap close a little bit. But the problem is every team now, if you want to have those top riders, like the market value is set now. So every team basically knows roughly the figure, and I won't throw numbers out there. If you want a top 20 rider in the World Tour right now, it's a lot of money just to have that one rider. So I think that's also why teams are looking at bringing younger riders on, because you can get them at that Neo Pro contract. And it's a gamble too then. You know, you might get the next Cat Ferguson or so. So yeah, I think something has to change. And maybe saying that as an agent isn't the best business thing to say, but I always worry about the stability of the sport in the long term. And we're still here, but it's been the same thing for the men's for decades and decades. And in fact, their salaries haven't grown that much, other than the super teams who have these incredible oil-backed funding opportunities. So those salaries have skyrocketed. But I think for the men, a lot of the top men are still getting paid roughly the same amount that they're being paid over the past 20 years or something.
I think a salary cap that's more percentage based.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's not keeping up with inflation.
Yeah. The salary should be like a percentage of the overall budget, and you can't max out that percentage of either the overall budget or the overall sum of the salaries of the riders.
Yeah, how do because I know here in Australia the AFL and I think the AFLW, they've got salary caps. I'm not sure how it works per se, because I remember it got implemented after Gary Ablett took that massive paycheck to go to Gold Coast Suns from the Geelong Cats, and then that kind of started the whole thing. It's like, I think one rider, it's just going to take one rider to move teams for an exorbitant amount of money for people to start clamoring that this is unfair.
I mean, on the men's side, you think that would have been Oscar Onley.
Yeah,
that was an insane move to Ineos.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But like, do you think that there's a kind of like learned helplessness with the non-oil backed teams in the peloton? Like, okay, well, we're never going to have that money. We're never going to compete. So I guess we just have to settle. And so they won't fight the system in that.
It is a good question. Maybe that's also why there's been that movement to look into starting, what is it called? One cycling.
Yeah.
A different revenue stream. So it's not so dependent on these huge individual backers that, you know, are interested for a few years, some oligarch, and then they get bored with it and say, no, we don't want to put our money in anymore. and all of a sudden, poof, there goes 20 million euros. It's just unsustainable. Everyone knows that, who follows the sport. I still don't know why we're not looking at different revenue streams, and maybe as well with athletes, if we're talking about salary caps, then it needs to be written more so into the contracts as like a standard that athletes then are free to search for different commercial partnerships too. There's a whole issue around image rights, of course, but if you look at a lot of the most well-paid female athletes across the world, they just have very lucrative commercial deals. So they're getting paid by their teams or their nations, and then they're outsourcing.
Who was that? Who was the American skier who skied
Eileen
for
Gu.
China? Yeah,
Eileen Gu, yeah.
she's like, what is she? She makes some
The
ridiculous
highest paid
20 million.
athlete at the Winter Olympics. Yeah.
like endorsements. So
Yes. She gets paid a shit ton from China, but she's like what are they called? ING models or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got huge partnerships.
She earned that money in just her interviews.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, seriously.
yeah, awesome.
She's a
Icon.
What do the kids say? She's viral. No.
Man, she's only 22 as well. Whew.
I think that one of the major reasons that Demi Vollering would have gone to FDJ United Suez in the first place is because they are a team that does do things a little bit differently, and a team that one of the few teams in the women's peloton that would have been okay with her having external deals and like, especially like with the Nike partnership, like that's something that ultimately benefited the team as well. But going in, it was a personal sponsorship for Demi. And I think, yeah, like if she were to have gone to Canyon-SRAM, zondacrypto, or EF Education Oatly and been like, I'm going to sign for X amount, but I want to be able to have my own external sponsors, that they would have said no.
Yeah, it's a good point. But so Letizia Paternoster bought Nike to Jayco.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, why don't teams look at it that way, Georgie? Like, it's an opportunity. If you have someone with a huge platform to bring sponsors, to actually bring them across with them. And from outside of what the usual realm of funding that, you know, you've got to look outside of the industry. The industry is still suffering.
Yeah.
It's like you can't rely on industry. You have to look beyond industry. A small example, I know that it's just a personal sponsor of Demi Vollering, but what is the brand? Charlotte Tilbury or something?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Makeup.
Massive.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a huge amount of benefit for that. 100%. Like it's what as athletes, where you'd be naive to think that teams don't make signings based off like the amount of fans and engagement and eyeballs that athlete then brings. So if you got two athletes with similar stats on paper, or like similar things that they can bring to a team, but one brings along Nike or Adidas or Charlotte Tilbury, like that rider is going to get a leg up. It's just like if you're like applying for a job in the regular world, if you've got some network, if you've got someone that can give you a leg up, if you've got associations with certain things like nepotism, it's sometimes it happens. I'm not saying that
I mean, St. Michelle Preference Home Aubert 93 like will have already got their money's worth by signing Allison Jackson.
Yeah, most definitely, because but I'm not saying that it's I think I don't want it to be taken the wrong way when I say like in the workforce, like networking for like positive networking is really helpful. And I think when I look at, say, positive networking in like the corporate sphere, I think of it as like acquiring sponsors and contacts in the athlete sphere as well. So I view them as the same thing. And it's just savvy athletes who know how the world runs, really. It's no longer just performance on the bike or performance in general. Like, yeah, I've said this time and time again on this podcast, sport is just entertainment. And so, yeah, if you're bringing the eyeballs, that's what there's a cost per engagement. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like every like there's a dollar amount, there's a value amount associated with every single post. No, I know that social media is a huge revenue generator, and so of course teams are going to be looking at that, as well as like they'll probably get a deal with a sponsor that a rider brings rather than going out by their own. Exactly,
and it's just there's so many layers to it. But I also think about increasing that fan base and how, even these influencers like you have, like Coach Jackie, she's getting me interested in all kinds of different sports just because of the way that she reports on it. And then with the Winter Olympics, man, it was captivating. The amount of athletes and their stories. I mean, I feel like I was focusing a lot on the women athletes, but so many incredible women doing incredible things that, you know, all of a sudden now I'm following all these different snow sport athletes. Eileen Gu is a fantastic example. I went into a deep dive on her because I was just fascinated by who this woman was and has, as one journalist put it, how her brain works. I don't know if you guys saw that interview. It was good.
Yeah, so good. Love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Winter Olympics has taught us anything. It is the importance of personality in the success of an athlete. I feel like a lot of to me, I mean, I don't know if it's just me or like where I am in life or the way that this Olympics was or what, but this just felt like such an inspiring Olympics, like one of the most in my recent memory. And I think a lot of that came down to the personalities that were really not afraid to be 100% authentic on the screen across all sports. So I think that it just highlights how important it is.
You have the athletes who completely missed the mark, like the guy who decided...
like the men's hockey team.
Yeah, but also the biathlon athlete who just clearly...
Oh, that was... I mean, that poor guy.
Like the guy, he was hurting in a big way, and he was, I think,
not media trained.
When you're at the Olympics, I feel like I've never been, but I can only imagine it's like the most emotional. It's the hardest. Like you've got to be so emotionally regulated, and so when it ends, like that kind of veneer just drops. Like when your event ends. And so like you've kept everything wound so tight, and then all of a sudden he's had to deal with the fact that he messed up big time. Everything kind of crashes down on him, and he just exploded into the microphone at the wrong time. He's human. It happens.
Yeah.
Wasn't fair on his ex, but yeah.
I think she's fine. She's made merch out of the whole thing. I think she's doing okay.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She'll be just fine.
She's got t-shirts now. She's selling t-shirts. Yeah. So she's good.
While we're in the Winter Olympics, just quickly, isn't there still like that? Is it still a rumor that cyclocross is going to be in the Winter Olympics coming up?
Yes, still a rumor. Indeed.
Still a rumor.
Well, the next Winter Olympics are in the French Alps. So how do the French feel about cyclocross? Do the French like cyclocross?
I think there was a bit of an article on Escape. I think it was more just about who's going to pay for it and who gets the rights and stuff like that. I think it was more about a budget, and if non-snow and ice sports come to the Winter Olympics, then like how do they fit into that pie? So I think it's just more of a question of money than anything.
Yeah, it's a good question.
But if they put snow in the cyclocross, then...
I mean, they tried that, Gracie, and it failed epically. I don't know if you guys ever watched when they had what was it, 2022, the UCI World Cup in...
Was it in Bormio? It was...
Val di Sole.
It's like it was in a ski resort.
Yeah, and it was quite
wild.
funny to watch. It was wild. It was wild indeed. I don't know if I'm all for it. But definitely putting that, if I'm still living in Europe in 2030, I will go to the Winter Olympics. If I'm still here.
Yeah.
Big if. You'll be battling cane toads with Gracie in Queensland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Abby's going to be competing in cross-country skiing.
Yeah, exactly.
The training starts now, Abby. She already did her FTP test.
Let's pivot. Speaking of snow, because what's the weather like in Belgium, Lauren? We've got Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and Omloop van het Hageland on the schedule this weekend. The classics are coming.
Shall we give a little weather update?
Yes, please.
Guys, I feel like spring is almost upon us here in Belgium. It has been grey and rainy and a bit of snow since I touched down almost a month ago. But as of Wednesday, it kicks up to 17 degrees briefly.
Ooh. T-shirt.
So T-shirt weather for sure. The flowers will be blooming, I assume. But then on Saturday drops back down to 11, which actually is a lovely mild temperature, I think, for Omloop, with a bit of cloud and sunshine.
That's the most Belgian sentence I've heard you say.
What did I say?
I mean, everything from the 17 degrees T-shirt weather for sure. to like lovely mild weather for Omloop.
What can I
Sorry,
say?
I'm
It's
in the
rubbing
mood
off.
tonight. I'm no one's safe with me tonight. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. It's great. Well, Omloop it's your classics course. It's got a smattering of cobbles, short poppy climbs that are cobbled. The climbing really kicks off 20K into the race. There's some minor ones, but it's once we get to 64 kilometers to go when we start to really hit the significant climbs. And from there, it's up and down all the way to the finish. It is 137 kilometers long. And this is, I mean, it's always an exciting race because it's the first classic of the season. It's finally in the World Tour. For a long time. It was a lower level race that the World Tour riders all rocked up to anyway. But now it's officially part of that World Tour calendar. And it's not, in theory, there won't be any crosswinds, but it is Belgium in spring. So you never really know. The weather can sometimes play a massive role. But I think it's set to be a really good edition of Omloop.
Guys, the thing I am most excited about is the return of Kopecky. I think we're going to see, and I said it before last week on the pod, I reckon we're going to see the Kopecky of a couple of years ago. She seems happy. She's in love. She had a really good training block over the winter. We saw some great results at the European Track Championships. And I'm really curious to see how that team races with her back at her full capacity. Of course, if Wiebes is there at the end, we know exactly what's going to happen.
And she could very well be. I mean, like, just looking at the weather now, pretty much from Oudenaarde, it's either crosswind or tailwind all the way to the finish.
Nice.
So headwind on the approach, crosswind on that, the big road that we take to get into Oudenaarde, crosswind there from the right shoulder. So, like, it could, if it splits there, like, sayonara, because then you're in the tailwinds. It's pretty much done.
Yep. Someone with an engine like her.
This was the race last year that like really started the season off with a lot of questions, where the breakaway won the race. Two riders managed to stay almost 3.5 minutes in front of the peloton to win the race. Lotte Klaas took the win, and she is riding for Fenix Premier Tech this year, so made the step up from Arkea B&B after they folded. And Aurelia Nerlo, who was riding for Winspace last year, she finished second. And it was, the biggest result for those two in their career so far. But behind them, it was really like the big guns going for it. They just happened to be over 3 minutes behind who would eventually win the race. So just like a very poorly timed racing scenario for all the big names. And Demi Vollering took third. So I guess you could say she was the first loser in that situation, just with how the race played out. And I think this year, we're definitely not going to see the same scenario this year. I think teams are going to be going into this. It's not necessarily like there's anything huge on the line. And I think last year felt really ominous going into the classics because of all of the massive transfers over the off season. And this year really feels like it's kind of an evening out. Like, it feels a lot calmer going into the classics for some reason, I feel like. And we're still going to see a lot of those big names on the start line. Like Lauren said, Kopecky is going to be there. In theory, I think Kasia Niewiadoma will be there. This is a good race for her. It's like a race that kind of suits most riders in a way, which makes it really exciting because it's pretty wide open. It just really depends on how teams tackle it.
I think it's going to be a really big spring because, in fact, to your point about last year, this year is a big contract year. So if you have a look on Pro Cycling Stats and go to a lot of the teams, you're going to see outgoing numbers is, I was chatting with, I think, Canyon-SRAM, and I think they have 11 riders who are free of contract at the end of this year. Not to say they'll all leave, but there will be, again, I think, a bit of a mix-up, which means people are going to be relying on having a good spring because the contract negotiations are happening sooner and sooner as the years go on.
I'm always excited for opening weekend because it's like the nerves are high. I feel like it's more known nowadays than it was back when I was racing as to like form and stuff, because we've seen most people racing now. Whereas before it was really like just the Aussie races, maybe Qatar, but like half the peloton hadn't raced yet. So like I feel like there's less question marks nowadays, but it's still like this is like the start of the proper racing. Like if you're not in form now, it's too late. Whereas you could still have been building in Australia or at the UAE tour or in Spain. So it's like, yeah, once you hit opening weekend, there's nowhere to hide. And this race is always a bit chaotic. It's actually it's always hard. The parcours are always hard. They haven't changed too much in recent years. I think they've added 2 more climbs this year, so I think it's a little bit harder than it has been. But it's kind of like a bit of a mini Flanders in a way. And the finale is pretty gnarly as well with the Muur of Gerasbergen and the Bosberg. So I love that combo. It's brutal to race. It always makes for a good finale. But yeah, I think Abby's right. I don't think we're going to see it playing out like we did last year. So we're kind of like, yeah, like in the middle of an Olympic cycle. And I think that starts to get interesting again because we're not in a selection period, but people are starting to like figure out what the pecking order is again of like what selection might look like starting from next year. And I think that isn't necessarily at the forefront of people's minds, but that's already going to be simmering away in the background. So, you know, the last 2 years, last year really, is a bit of like a dip down, I guess, which is typical after an Olympic year. So I feel like the build back is kind of going to be happening already. But just the level, like we talk about it all the time, but the level just keeps rising and rising and rising. I think it's just going to be absolutely gnarly this season of spring racing.
I can't wait. It's going to be mad. Should we have a look at the start list?
Great idea, because I was going to ask if we can play a game of who do we think, because it'd be fun to do it now. Who's going to be like breakout star or couple of stars for the spring? Because you know, every year there's like those few people that just like, boom, break out, super consistent, and then they end up getting that big win.
I love that. I absolutely love that game. We do not have a confirmed full start list yet, but I think we can make an educated guess based on the fact that it's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, the first classic of the season. So a lot of the teams will want to bring a specific type of rider to kind of see how everyone is how everyone's feeling before the bigger classics coming up, like what work still needs to be done, shake out the legs, and so forth. I think, well, I want to say like one of the riders I'm most excited to watch, who probably isn't lining up for Omloop, is Femke de Vries. Although I don't know if she will feature so much until the Ardennes and like the hillier classics, maybe even Flanders, Strada. Stuff like that, but I'm excited to see how her season goes. So I'm not necessarily the cobbled classics, but I've got an eye on Femke de Vries.
That wasn't the exam question, Abby.
Sorry, kind of. It kind of was. It's
no,
like
it wasn't.
At the end of the classics.
Bow, bow.
Fine, you go, Georgie.
Yeah, all right. Great, I will. I'm consulting the start list, and I'm going to reference Omloop Het Nieuwsblad because it started the classic, and that's what we talked about.
On fire.
Yeah. On fire today. Jana Korova. I think it might be a bit of a heart pick, but I've raced with her. She has got to be the most consistent rider I know in the peloton in terms of positioning. Often she's put to work, but I really hope, and I know that she would love to win a spring classic one day. So I'm hoping it's 2026 for her.
Nice. I'm going to go with young riders. I think this is going to be the year that we see Zoe Backstedt really having a huge result in the spring classics, because I think she's there now. She climbed super well as well on that final stage in UAE tour. It was the final stage, right? And then, of course, I always talk about her, but Kat Ferguson, you can't look past her. I know she's young. It's only her second season as a pro, but I just think she's one of those generational talents, and she's got the team backing her. If you look at the start list there, for me, that whole team is built around her and Lippert.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Here's my
Yeah.
classics. My class.
No, you can't go now, Abby. It's my
Okay,
turn.
sorry,
Gracie's
Gracie,
turn.
your
Gracie's
turn.
turn.
Because I'll probably pick who you're going to pick. I'm going to say Lara Gillespie
Yeah,
from
good one.
UAE.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yep. And also my dark horse is Los Artegays from
Oh,
Little
I didn't get a
Trek.
dark horse. You guys got two. I only picked one.
Okay, pick a second one, and then I want to
Yeah,
pick again.
we're older and wiser.
Hey, it's my birthday on Tuesday.
You'll be a year older, but you're still not older than us.
I'm going to go with... I'm sorry, I'm going to take my time with this one. You guys can wait with bated breath. Ooh, Alexis Magna. That's a bit of a wild one.
God, that is a great pick. I love that pick for my heart.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Okay, fine. Well, I was gonna pick. I love Gracie's pick, and Gracie, you totally know me way too well because I also would have said Laura Gillespie. I mean, her UAE tour was just incredible, but I think Babette Vanderwolf is my dark horse.
Ooh, good one.
We could just keep going because I'm like looking through the list now and I'm like, but what about?
Nope.
No, I mean, I feel like we really are. We're in this stage of women's cycling where I feel like it's going to be all of these new names coming through that are really going to be the stars of the show, like starting this year. I really feel like we're at this turning of the tide time where the big names that have featured in the last couple of years are still going to be winning races, but I think that there are so many riders just on the cusp that at a certain point, like the dam is going to break and we're going to have all of these new riders like flood onto the podium, and there's going to be so much to talk about, and all of these riders are going to be featuring in the races. I really think that it's only a matter of time until we see that happen. Because it's all these young riders who are all of a sudden have access to all of these resources that, that a lot of riders didn't until later in their careers, and they have access way earlier. So it's all a recipe for success, hopefully, to make the racing more dynamic so that there's more players in the game. Okay, we're going to take a tiny bit of a break, and when we come back, I chatted with Cecilie Uttrup Ludwig, Cele, about her crash in 2024 at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad that really kind of derailed her career path a bit, and how that has impacted her 2025 with Canyon-SRAM zondacrypto and impacted her racing now, but she's really excited going into the new year. So let's hear from her. Well, how are you feeling going into the second year with Canyon-SRAM? And we haven't talked in a while. So, well, first of all, congrats on the engagement because it's been that long.
Thanks. Yeah, really happy.
It was really exciting. Yeah, congratulations. It's really it's a cool step in life.
I know. Yeah, getting married, becoming a wifey. I look forward to that.
After so many years with FDJ Suez, how was that switch last year? And how do you feel now going into your second season with the team? Canyon-SRAM zondacrypto.
No, I'm really excited. Yeah, I think I needed the fresh air, new change, a new environment change, and like new people, new inspiration. I think we all need that sometimes in life. And it was just really good for me. Everything new teammates, new bike, new clothing, new everything. And also just like seeing a new way to do things. I think that's always good stimulus and good for the brain. Personally, I just like the last 2 years since I crashed in Omloop 2 years ago. Yeah, that year, so that's 2 years ago now. That year was like really difficult coming back from the injury, and then last year was also not an easy year. So like on that level, I've been struggling to like find the old Scylla, the one that was in what I would call the fun end of cycling, and was there when it was super hard, and that has been mentally a challenge as well. The cycling in general is just every year moving. The whole peloton is just becoming better and better. The girls are becoming stronger and stronger, which is awesome to see. But when you feel you're on the back foot all the time, and then you feel, because even if you come back, like coming back from an injury, coming back to your old level, yeah, now that's not good enough. You would need to improve every single year to keep up and not fall behind. So yeah, that's just felt like I've been on the back foot for a long time. Well, I hope it's always like I guess also having a new calendar year in general, that's just like, you feel like it's a new book, it's a new page, and you feel like this year I hope to get back to that. And so yeah, I'm just motivated and excited about this year. Also, some part of me, I think it's also, getting older. I think that's also like I think I'm also a bit more calm in general about life, about cycling. Yeah, in general, I just feel great. And I'm excited to start the season, really.
Do you feel like, I mean, it wasn't an insignificant injury, like you see broken collarbones and stuff, but you broke your sacrum, which is, that takes quite a lot of time to come back from. And you were still back racing, I feel like, sooner than I would have expected. Do you
Yeah.
feel like it maybe would have been, like, had you taken more time even it would have been easier to come back in a way? Or did you
Yeah.
need to come back?
I think in looking back at it, it's always, easy when can look back at it and be also clever. But yeah, looking back, it was maybe I rushed it a bit too much, and I think I was just like I just wanted to be back racing, and I was just like, because I crashed in Omloop, and I basically just missed all the spring classics and all the cool races. So just it was hard to sit on the couch and watch all these cool races, and not being able to, yeah, ride my bike even. So, and so then when I was then able to sit on a home trainer and start training, it was then very quickly rushed into, let's pump up the intensity and get back to. But the problem is like it was actually like an off season in the middle of the season because I had to take a month off the bike. So like building that, yeah, looking back, I should have, yeah, in Danish we say, put cold water in the blood and just like, yeah, I should have taken it easier and come back with my own time. I will also say I think this whole process has taught me a lot and being patient about coming back to the top level.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's being away from the racing as an athlete is never easy. Like it's not like you can turn off the TV and not pay attention to what's happening because you especially like you love the sport. You love watching the racing and being part of the racing, and one of the reasons that people love you so much is because of how much you love the racing. Like it's clear to us sitting at home watching how much fun you have racing.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine that time would have been like in any way easy for you.
No. Yeah, that was difficult watching. Because yeah, it's just all the races I love to race. Yeah. Yeah,
I
the
mean, when
spring.
you have as much fun in races as you do, those races are the races that are like it's built for fun. It's
I
built to just
know.
like throw everything you can at the race and like sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't, but like you walk away with the sense of like satisfaction in that the racing itself is what cycling is made out of, because that's just how the spring classics are. Like there's a reason they're the spring classics.
Yeah, 100%. They're just so dynamic, and there's just like, yeah, because when it's a 1 day race, when it's a 1 day classic, like everyone comes there and just want to give their. It's just, I don't know, it's just the vibe and they're just cool races, yeah, in general.
So it took you a while to kind of get back into the swing of things after coming back, and then you switch teams, which means you also need to like readjust to an entire new mentality of racing. How has the environment in Canyon-SRAM zondacrypto changed your approach to racing itself?
Well, yeah, because since I have been not since I have been a little bit on the back foot, I feel I switched into more of a helping role in a lot of the races. At the moment has been good for the mental side of, yeah, cycling, I guess. Because when you are the leader, like a lot of the pressure is on your shoulders to deliver, yeah, I had the privilege to have a little bit less of that, and the team has been really supportive with that. Yeah, just like because the main thing is just to get back and have fun racing and be, yeah, because at the end of the life is so short. And you should do something you love to do. Because, yeah, also when I look back at the way I like to race, is just when I'm in the race and when it's difficult to explain, but when you're in the race and you feel the adrenaline, you're in the position fight, you're in all this chaos and the craziness and you're just embracing it. Yeah, this I really look forward to this year, doing that again.
When you're in that moment, is your head going like a million miles a minute and you're thinking about like following this wheel, what's going to come next? Like, you know, the courses, you've ridden all of them so many times at this point in your career. You know when the crucial turns are going to be, you've got your director in your radio. Or is it kind of like, you know, when you get into this perfect sweet spot and your fitness is there and mentally you're there and your brain just like shuts off and it's just memory, like body memory of
Yeah.
exactly what to do?
Or when I'm really good and when I'm my best, I don't really hear the radio.
Hmm.
Like it's like you're in a zone, honestly. That's the best. Like when you don't even recall what they said on the radio at all because you were just in the moment and you were just trying to, yeah, do your best being in front of the race, and whether that is attacking or following moves or what that can be. Yeah, that's the best. And yeah, I want more of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it will happen. It's crazy how fast the sport is progressing. Like you said, it's you are out of it for a little while and you come back, and even if you're at the level that you were in January of 2024 when you were at such a high level already, it's like you're already missing, you know, two levels as everyone else is. And then it seems like as the year goes on and then the next season starts, like nobody drops a level. It just like keeps going up and up and up, and it's wild to watch and really cool, but also like a little bit there is a little bit of concern, I feel like, in just how fast the sport can progress and remain approachable, reachable for the next generation who have less of a development pathway than I think someone like you did in your generation.
It is the hot topic to talk about, or it's we talk about it at the dinner table, and people talk in general about this. Because I think they are also a bit like, yeah, skeptic that, the level is just growing and growing every year, and that younger and younger girls are coming into this and having to basically live at altitude and be away on these training camps. And just like that is, yeah, younger and younger people have to deal with all this stress and being away and things that maybe older and more mature riders or more experienced riders would have to do, like me when I'm a bit older. And I think that is a real concern also in the men's cycling, I guess. And this also just the position fight, because more and more the peloton is getting stronger and stronger, so the position fight is longer and longer and harder and harder, and the speed we're going is more and more crazy. And I think if it continues like that, it might be unsustainable for some of the really young girls coming up. I mean, I'm happy I'm getting older, and my retirement is not that far.
Oh, come on. You still got as many years as you want to keep going.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think like at a certain point it has to plateau, but it also just makes for like a really stressful working environment for so many people, and within cycling, like not only riders, but also like staff, management, and everything, because it's just so moving so rapidly.
I know. Yeah, it's a little scary actually. And I mean, when we are at the top level of the sport, everyone is all the time looking for improvement and can we optimize here and can we optimize there. So yeah, it is. I mean, being a top athlete, I think yeah, it's not an easy life, and it's not. Yeah, people should not choose that. Like in so many ways, I'm so privileged and I'm so happy to get to ride my bike and get paid to do my like to do my hobby basically. And I love racing, right? Like on the other hand, it is a tough job and it's not getting easier.
Do you think like the way that the peloton has changed so much has also changed with your comeback in the last couple years, your how you move about the bunch? Because that would have also changed in the month that you were off the bike and in the time you were away. And I feel like when you have a crash as bad as you did at Omloop, it's like a lot of the times getting back physically is one thing, getting back like your confidence moving around is a lot of times even harder.
Oh yeah, and I think that is also part of what I've been struggling, like the fear of crashing again and having a big injury. I think it's like when you experience a big trauma that's kind of sits in your body. And yeah, like I said, the position fight and the it's just getting harder and harder. So being back mentally and confident in the bunch and confident with position fight, because to be honest, I don't think any girls really love that part in cycling. It's just like that's just a fact. We have to do that. So, but being more not so afraid of all the position fight, yeah, it's definitely easier because then you have more mental energy to actually do what you're supposed to do, like push the pedals hard and ride. So, yeah, if it makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's like there's so much of cycling that we only are just emphasizing. So much of cycling is mental, and it's I feel like it's only been in the last couple years that people have really realized how much mental goes into being a top cyclist.
Yeah, and also like it's fun because we often also talk about the sacrifices that you have to be on altitude camp, you have to train, and you have to optimize this, or you have to do that and that. Like cycling is also not just the physical, it's so much mental and it's so much also technical. Like if you're afraid of the position fight or if you're afraid of descending or all of these things, it affects your bike racing so much. Yeah, I don't feel I hear a lot of people talking about or teams even doing descending training or yeah, having, I mean, maybe I hear more teams having a mental coach attached to the team, but doing technical training, it just feels like, oh, but yeah, that's a natural, like everyone should be able to handle their bike. But I think a lot of people could benefit from learning how to corner better.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the whole peloton safer. And you can't like
Yeah,
even if you're good at cornering, like you can always just work on it.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
it's not a waste of time to go in a parking lot and set up some cones.
exactly. It's always good to work on.
Yeah. Going into this season, how has your prep for the beginning of the season changed since since you were younger in the many years now that you've been in the peloton?
Yeah, how's it changed? I feel as I get older and I try to put on more volume, more or less every year.
Hmm. Like as your body can take more and more volume, you utilize it.
Yeah, and especially during the winter, it's like the perfect because you have so many months, so much time to actually just train and build a really good base before you hit intensity. So yeah, and I think. I feel I've trained a lot of hours on the bike, which has just been I mean I've just really enjoyed this winter, just like good group rides, like a lot of kilometers, and I think yeah, being older, I mean I say it again, but it's I think I'm also a bit more chilled with like oh yeah, like intensity it will come later, like and then we ramp it up for the goals of the season. So then that's yeah, that's basically been my
You're
winter.
hilarious. You keep mentioning how you're so much older, but you're only 30. Like there's it's not like
Yeah. But you know that's funny because like in the past I wouldn't like say, oh yeah, 30, that's like that's not that old. But like with the young guns, like they're so young. They're 20 years old, they're 22 years old, and they're the best in the world. Like Yeah, which is just insane. So, I mean, just like me thinking about, wow, doing that, like being so good at such a young age and then continuing trying to optimize for the next 10 plus years is, yeah, you have to have a steel mindset to do that.
At your age and going into a contract year with all the experience that you have, does anything change for you, or is it kind of like business as usual and you let your agents worry about your contract and you just kind of do your job? How does that change how you approach the season?
At the end of the day, it doesn't change that much. Of course, it is weird and funny with cycling how we're actually so vulnerable because at the end of the day, I don't have a contract for next year. So, it could be my last year of cycling if no one wants to sign me. You know what I mean? Like,
You never really know, yeah.
um,
But it's
no.
yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm also I know what I'm capable of, and um I still feel I have a lot to give, and I still love cycling. So going into this season, yeah, I feel quite relaxed because there's just a good atmosphere within the team, and I just feel supported, to be honest. And I just want to be racing, and I just want to race hard. Like, I just want to race hard. I just want to be up there and want to race hard and I want to give it my best. Yeah, because also if you're thinking about, oh, I have to, get these kind of results, because I think that's only going to make the situation worse. Like, you cannot think about these things. No, I'm just going to race my bike hard. So.
Well, I love that. I mean, I love that. And so does everyone listening to this podcast, because everyone listening to this podcast loves to watch you race your bike hard.
Thanks. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well then here's my final question. You've won or been on the podium of a lot of the biggest races in women's cycling. What is still on your bucket list?
If I could choose one race to win, it would be Flesh.
Why Flesh?
Yeah, I don't know why I have so much love for this race, but I really do. And like that finish, I just love that climb. Yeah, and yeah. And also you can't hide.
No,
Like that is just like it just tells the truth.
it does. I mean,
Who's the strongest on that
if
climb?
you win Flesh, it means going into the rest of the season, like it's not your last win. I mean, look at Kasha.
Yeah, yeah. Before I retire, I really dream of winning that race, and then I can just retire, and then it's all good.
Well, one of the most interesting things that we talked about for me was how when Cecilie came back from crashing and breaking her sacrum, which is a major injury, and to come back after only a month off the bike, like that sounds like a lot of time off the bike. And for a cyclist, that feels like eternity. But I talked to a couple of my friends who are doctors. One of them is the Olympic doctor for Team Latvia, and he said that it would be 6 to 8 weeks would be his guess for someone coming back from breaking their sacrum, from fracturing their sacrum. And so to be back on the bike after only 4 weeks is a rapid recovery for Cecilie. And she mentioned that even when she was able to train again and she was coming back into the peloton, when you come back at the same level you were when you crashed after that amount of time out of the peloton, the whole peloton has taken 2 steps up. So you may be where you were when you crashed, but 1 month later, 1.5 months later, you're still 3 steps behind everyone else who continued to progress. And because of that, she's felt like for the last year, or 2 years, because with Omloop this weekend, she's been on the back foot trying to get back into the top echelon of the sport.
I was, it's not a great memory of mine, but I was actually in the sag wagon with Cecilie at that Omloop when she crashed, because Letizia Paternoster and I crashed on.
They couldn't put her in an ambulance? Jesus Christ.
No, it was a van. She was sitting down on her butt. She was in a lot of pain. And she, to her credit, maintained her character. But she would have been, feeling it. And she was, tears, and pretty vulnerable moment for her. But she came back, flying. And it's really good to see her happy in her new home. And clearly in a new role, which she seems to be embracing.
Yeah, she's really taken on like a captain leadership role without the pressure of results at Canyon-SRAM Zondacrypto. And Cecilie being Cecilie, like she wants to be winning races again. It's not like that drive has gone anywhere. She was really excited for the season, and she said she just wants to have fun again. And to her, the definition of fun is when the race is at its fastest and most chaotic, and she's able to be changing the race. Like she's able to be on the front, making moves. That's where she's having the most fun in racing, which I think that would apply to a lot of those winning riders. Like that's where they thrive. And Cecilie is no different. And so for her, I think that's been one of the hardest things over the last 2 years, is just having to readjust her expectations of where she is in the peloton. But when I was talking to her, she's so motivated to be up there again. And I think she's just like putting the pieces together and kind of recuperating from that crash. And she said at the end that she didn't think at the time that it would be a career changing crash when it had happened. And she wasn't anticipating the length of time it would take for her to mentally and physically get back from that. But that this year, going into the year, she's really excited for what could happen. She's a fan favorite for a reason. And I think it's been a bummer for every fan of women's cycling not to have her in the pointy end of races where then we get a Cecilie interview after the race, So I think everyone is rooting for her to be back up in the fun.
Yeah, we want to see her back to her attacking ways.
For sure.
She really was an animator of the racing, like Cassia.
All right, well, I can't wait for Omloop. I know you guys can't either. I'm going to write a full preview for the race on Escape Collective, so make sure to tune into the site later this week for a preview of the course breakdown, weather breakdown, riders to watch, all that good stuff will be out later this week. Plus, my interview with Cecilie is out tomorrow as the podcast is released, so Wednesday. So make sure to read that if you want to. And we can wrap up the episode with our favorite segment, Obsessions. I don't have any Winter Olympics to talk about. No, you know what? I do have, the Winter Olympics are over and my heart is hurt. I feel lost, but I still can't get over the fact that Mia Manganello finished the Olympics with a bronze medal. I think it was her last race of her career. The World Cup circuit for long track speed skating is over. She won the mass start overall title there. And then to finish with the bronze medal, the first American to get a medal in the mass start event. It was incredible. I was screaming, crying, sobbing. So was Lila, because she's gotten to be a fan of Mia in the last couple of years watching the races. And yeah, I'm just so happy for her. She's one of those people who's just like she's like Glinda, but like the good way, in a good way, like in the original Wizard of Oz, where she like kind of floats in on a bubble and is just so shiny and happy and awesome. And that's kind of how Mia is. And so it was just really cool to see her, and like her on the podium. It was like she was more excited than the other two on the podium. And it was just really cool. And I can't get over how great the Winter Olympics were this year. Like it really felt like the best Olympics in recent memory to me. I just enjoyed like every single race, every single event, all the new athletes and all of my favorite athletes. Like it was amazing. And I cannot wait to watch the Paralympics starting on March 5th. Going on for a week, 10 days, I believe. I'm so excited for the hockey, for the cross country skiing is going to be amazing. So it's not over yet. We still have the Paralympics to look forward to. And the Nordic cross country season is not over. We still have a couple World Cups, World Championships. So that's really exciting. Same with ski racing. And the PWHL is going to be back on next week, in a couple weeks, as the hockey players get back into their regular routine. So there's still a lot of winter sports to be excited about. Although now I do feel that my brain needs to pivot and I need to care about cycling again.
So I think I want to get a dog.
I love that for you.
I'm obsessed with adopt a dog Facebook pages.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get a dog, are you going to make sure that it has the same hair as you? Because 101 Dalmatians, like you have to have your lookalike dog. Like every time that Kit Nicholson sends me a picture with their dog, I just love how they look the same.
I think
True.
I mean I would say like a border collie is probably close enough to like this kind of floopy
Ooh,
hair.
that's a lot of. I
No,
mean, it
but
matches your energy as well, but
I mean like I want a dog that I can run and bike with. So
that is a border collie through and
or a Kelpie or a cattle dog. Like
through.
but I do want to rescue. So I don't want but I'm looking at pages. So I'm in the market, but I think I'll foster first before.
That's great.
Yeah, but a good thing about living with one of your oldest friends, and she owns the house. So I was like, oh, Abby, I want to get a dog. And she's like, great. It can be our dog. And I was like, oh, I think it'll be my dog. She's like, no, it'll be our dog.
I'm going to have it in writing.
Yeah, that was my next question.
I will have it in
That's
writing.
good.
It's my dog. I love that obsession. What is my obsession? We've been in our house for about a year and a half now, and it's taken me a year and a half to get around to really starting to think about how we want to decorate the house. I wouldn't say I'm someone with much interior design style, but I'm pretty proud of Harry's room. I think it's coming together quite nicely, and I'm excited for when Abby visits to give me the thumbs up or thumbs down, because I feel like Abby has good taste. I mean, you can't ever give a thumbs down on a kid's room.
No.
You just can't.
Abby's too nice to give a thumbs down.
That's true. Georgie?
I mean, I'm looking. I mean, I feel like now that we're on video, I can't turn my laptop around and safely show you guys my bedroom. That feels a bit weird. But I'm quite proud of my interior design. I've gone for like a forest green, burnt orange kind of vibe with like I got fairy lights. I got like an orangey print. I need to decorate a bit more, but yeah, I feel like if you want a vibe, just go after a vibe. Like for me, I've got like my room looks out over to the front garden, so I wanted the outside to feel inside. So I've got like a lot of greens, like deep greens and like very earthy tones.
Nice.
Lauren, I can't wait to give your thumbs up. I'll give you a thumbs up when I.
Okay. Well,
there.
I
I'm
mean,
excited.
the boys love it. They just want to go up and play in Harry's room
That's
now.
what's
So-
important. That's important.
So yeah, I'm in that era.
All right, Gracie, what about you?
Aside from all of the continual amazing Winter Olympics content, especially the interviews, especially the Eileen Gu interviews that I've been loving, just that authenticity, I guess, that's really shining through now with sport. And like, it was such a great example at these Winter Games of how authenticity led to such great performances and happiness and freedom. And of course, there's some caveats to that and some repercussions or some tougher elements. But like, I just love how that was like a bit of a feature of these games, and a little bit from Paris as well, but definitely from Milano Cortina, like just some really cool individuals and authentic representations of themselves. And I'm really enjoying that emerging in sports, that people are, just more free to just be themselves and not be so fixed in the boxes that they're put in, or that we put them in, or you put yourself in, or the sport expects of you. So I feel like Gen Z has a lot to be thanked for that, I think.
It was I was actually talking about this with a friend of mine recently, and I feel like, I mean, the last Winter Olympics was 2022, post-COVID. It was still a bit strange. I think 2025 and 2026 in terms of Olympic Games, or 2024 and 2026, has been like social media has really come to the fore, and it's actually opened the world up to the inner sanctum of what being an athlete at these games is, and it's captured the imagination of everyone else in a way that we haven't seen before. So we have a lot of bad things to say about social media, but I think it's really like in other ways it's like it's creating a new avenue of inspiration and expression for these athletes, which is really cool. And on the point of social media, Abby, do you have something to announce?
I do. I'm so excited to announce that Wheel Talk Podcast has our own social media channel now. We are on Instagram. You can find us at Wheel Talk the Pod. That's Wheel Talk the Pod on Instagram. We're going to be posting tons of content about women's cycling, plus videos from this very podcast that you're listening to, little snippets for you to share with your friends. So in case they haven't heard of the Wheel Talk podcast, you can share with them on Instagram, be like, hey, check out this really cool podcast about women's cycling, but also it's got great personalities, if I do say so myself. So yeah, follow us on Instagram for even more Wheel Talk content and women's cycling and women's sport. I mean, we're going to have fun with it. So I'm excited that we finally got it off the ground. It's something we've been talking about for like a year, but now it's finally a reality.
I'm enjoying seeing who's already liked the post. So if you haven't liked it yet and we know who you are, like the post, share it, follow.
All right. Well, thanks everyone so much for listening to this episode of the Wheel Talk podcast. We will be back next week to talk about everything that happened at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and Omloop Van Het Hageland over the weekend. It's going to be a great weekend of racing and we can't wait. Talk to you next week.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.